Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review Creep. Your journey terminates here.
Written and directed by Christopher Smith, starring Franka Potente, Sean Harris, and Vas Blackwood. This movie's about Kate, a partygoer who is just trying to go to the after party where she's supposed to meet George Clooney. She unfortunately is too drunk, falls asleep in the London subway, and she's stuck in the subway station overnight. Unfortunately, she is then pursued by an attacker, and that attacker is then attacked by something much, much worse. This is actually a recommendation from Reese Jordan over on Patreon, who won our monthly movie raffle. This is, I think, the second one or third one that we've done from Reese. He's won a couple times. I feel like he did this to fuck with us a little bit because everybody wants us to do the other Creep that's on Netflix that with the guy with the wolf mask. But he said, nope, not that one, this one. So here we go. What do we like?
I'm kicking it off with our Creep. He's played by Sean Harris. I was creeped out by him. The title is very fitting for who our attacker is. He's creepy looking. He's got these whole creepy movements, but he's also pretty badass. He's hanging around, swinging through things, knocking people out, super strong, and he's like the Rat King from Ninja Turtles.
My turtles, but they're no match for my army of rats.
And he was pretty brutal too, which led to some great gore. There's not a ton of it, and I can't really show too much because it's all spoilers, but there are some really good practical effects and some decent blood splatter. I think the acting was pretty decent in this movie. It is a UK film, so you just have to get over some of the accents because it's weird, every single person has a way different accent. Some people seem Scottish or Irish.
A while back, some homeless people went missing.
Other people have a German accent.
Why did I have a feeling you would know?
Because you have a lot of feelings for me, Kate.
No, I have two. Pity and disgust.
But they're all in London, so it's kind of weird. But I think Kate did a pretty decent job as far as the acting was concerned. Her character was a fucking idiot, but we'll get to that. And I liked Vas Blackwood, who played George. He's some dude who got caught for dealing weed or something, or having some weed on him, and so his punishment was to clean these sewers. He was pretty funny.
Another likable character was Jimmy. I enjoyed Jimmy's character because he was just a nice guy. He's just some homeless guy who's chilling in the station, living there with Mandy, and he's trying to help Kate out. He was doing the best he could to get her out safe. Also, he was the only one who thought it was a good idea to not help the rapist.
Can we just get him off the rails?
He tried to rape you. Let him rot.
The location of this movie was also pretty cool because it was a subway station. I mean, we've seen movies like Howl where it all takes place on a train, same with Train to Busan, but you never see one that just takes place in and around, around the train, just in a subway station the whole time. And so it becomes almost like a big labyrinth, and you get as disoriented as you know that the characters are. And so you start getting a little bit claustrophobic, especially when they're in darker tunnels and they only have a little lamp on their head or some one flashlight. You're if they actually run out of batteries, they are fucked. They'll either fall and drown in shit, or they'll be walking for miles in the scariest looking place ever.
They go from what you think is just going to be a circular track to this crazy world that Craig roams and rules with the rest of his rats. They've made it seem larger than what it actually is. And it's very interesting to think that some underground world actually exists beneath the streets.
And I seen that before. It was either on Maury or Geraldo. You remember him? I think he was one of them, and they investigated underground sewer dwellers, and this kind of stuff actually happens, and that's what's a little bit more frightening. Now let's move on to our dislikes.
I believe we both need to kick it off with Kate and her terrible decision making. The actor was good as an actor. The character was downright terrible. I was not supporting any decision Kate made.
Every single thing you would want a character to do, she doesn't do. She just does the opposite. She'll have herself set up to kill the bad guy many, many times, and she'll just walk away. Every time. Even though she knows she's locked in these fucking sewers, she always just walks away as if she's gonna go get help or get out. But she knows also that it's not possible, and she just keeps doing it over and over again. And it's a problem when you're not rooting for her, you're actually rooting for the bad guy to finally catch up and kill her.
Yeah, and she tries to do the right thing.
She's almost too good for her own good because she wants to help everybody to an extent, and she shouldn't. Like, if somebody tries to rape you, you don't try and save them. If somebody's actively trying to murder you, don't spare them. That's a tip for all final girls, by the way. It's like, just, if Jason's coming at you, Michael's coming at you, if he's on the ground, just fucking finish the job. Don't show mercy, or he will kill you. Well, Kate does like go from place to place, and the sewers do look different enough. I feel like the situations that she is put in are too easy to escape from. She's in some really bad situations, and she's able to escape within maybe a minute and a half screen time. And it's really weird just to move on to the next thing. It just seems like a waste of a setup to put somebody in a trap of some sort just to have them escape like first try.
Aside from Kate's character, I didn't like how this story actually developed every character. Not that they weren't developed correctly, it was just we get introduced to someone and you think they're gonna play a significant role and they don't. They either end up dying or disappearing, and then we're reintroduced to another character who's gonna help Kate, and the same thing happens over and over again.
It's pretty much just like, okay, Kate can only be with one person at a time, okay? So if she gets attached to somebody, they're gonna die. And then she'll find another person soon. So don't worry. Then that person will die, and so on and so on. And because the story goes like that, that in itself is repetitive from like the character standpoint. They do double back on themselves running through like the subway, so it does become a little monotonous, especially when she's just like, oh, okay, I've been to this place with the other guy. Now I'm in this place with another guy, and I'm gonna run back here and we're gonna do the same thing over and over again with somebody else. And it's just, I don't know, it gets a little bit boring.
Like we kind of mentioned in the likes, there isn't a lot of on-screen kills. The ones that you do get do look nice, but it did need a little more. Like they could have used more random homeless people instead of just giving us like a character to develop and then die and then be replaced.
They did establish that there was an underground place where homeless people hang out, and we only meet 2 of them. So why aren't there more just like sitting around that could easily just be like a one-off kill, as we just see like our cool killer walking around looking for Kate. You see somebody else, hey, that might be a fun kill. Slice them up, continue walking. It would have broken up a lot of the meaningless wandering around in the dark forever. I would have appreciated a little bit more backstory for our killer. He's kind of weird. You're gonna have questions, and you won't be getting any answers. They don't really tell you why the killer is how he is.
Yeah, they give you 2 pictures and a wristband.
You know,
piece it together.
You know his name is Craig, and you know he has a father that was a doctor. That is what you know. Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. Creep isn't a great movie. I don't know if it's just a good movie or not. I don't really know. It had good aspects. The acting was pretty solid. It had kind of like an interesting tone to it. We had a really creepy killer, and we did have some decent practical effects. However, just like overall, it's not that fun, and I probably wouldn't recommend it. There's just a lot of monotonous stuff. The character development wasn't that strong for everyone other than Kate, and we don't really get the proper backstory for this kind of killer, which you would expect. So I'm gonna give this 1.5 fake out doggy doors out of 5.
Creep is at least a film that lives up to its title because the killer was creepy. I enjoyed Craig as our killer. I feel as though this film just lacks in its overall storytelling ability because it does get repetitive and they don't develop their characters as good as you hoped. And we are given a protagonist who you don't really want to root for, so it's hard to get behind. But it's not a bad film as it stands right now. There's just a lot of room for improvements if they decide to make a sequel or remake it. So with that being said, I'm going to give this film 2 clotheslines from hell out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't, there are links in the description where you can find it. And if you want the opportunity to recommend a movie for us to review, check out our Patreon where you can enter the monthly movie raffle. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, stay updated with everything Bloodbath and beyond.